Welcome to the What's Your Ceiling podcast. We're your hosts, Monty Wyatt and Paul Szynski. Wherever you are in life, there is a higher ceiling. This podcast is how you become aware of it and how to take action to push through it. It's time to discover your ceiling. Welcome to the What's Your Ceiling podcast, where we talk about your health, your family, your business. I'm Monty Wyatt.
I'm Paul Szynski.
And we've got a great show with us today. We've got some great experiences to learn about and hear about, but we're going to have a topic today called dependability. And so, Paul, when you hear the phrase dependability, what comes to mind for you?
I think it's big. When I think of dependability, it's someone that shows up, does what they say they're going to do, and sticks to it. And that's what I consider dependability.
Absolutely. Dependability is, you can rely on someone.
Absolutely.
No matter what the scenario, you can count on them.
Yeah, that's what you call building a reputation, knowing that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And that's big when you're in business and you're growing business and scaling businesses. And that's what's great about today's event. We have with us today, has one of the best reputation in the business and does business in over 20 different states. He does business with like Come and Go. It's a C-store. We got Quick Trip. We have Unity Point, Circle K stores that are around the United States. This gentleman does business in 20 different states. He's been has incorporated for 44 years. And I'd like to introduce to you Richard Hurd. Richard, great to have you on today, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us. And our listeners, we call the achievers, and we're always looking for great ideas on how to go through that next ceiling. We're all about health, family, and business, and I think you're the perfect example of someone that's done that with your business. So thanks for coming once again, and let's talk about a little bit about how you got started into business, and I know you have your family involved, your kids involved, and that's not always easy, and that's a challenge at times. But tell us a little bit about how you got into the business and the love of real estate.
Well, thanks, Paul and Monty. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I was in high school during the Vietnam era and decided to enlist to avoid being drafted, so I did that. And when I got back, went to college, and nothing was really clicking with me. And so I was talking to my dad one day, and he just said, well, why don't you try real estate? And I commented back to him that I didn't know anything about it and really was frankly not very interested. But he said, you should take a closer look. It's something I think you'd be good at. And it kind of goes to the concept that sometimes parents see things in their kids that kids don't see themselves. And so I said, okay. And so we set out and went out and found an old repo house that a bank had, and they just wanted rid of it, and I bought it. And my dad helped me rehab the house, and actually realized I kind of liked it. So it got me started in the real estate business, and kind of continued the journey with repo houses, and then renting some houses, duplexes, then apartments, and I started building houses. I mean, it was really a stair-step process from the beginning, getting started, quite frankly.
Yeah. So you went from basically picking up a flip house, rehabbed it, sold it, made some money. Then at one point, did you go right to get your realtor's license after that, or did you keep flipping houses?
I did that for a few years, and I decided I was watching the brokers were making pretty good money on everything that I was doing. I thought, well, gee, I might as well get involved in that too. So I went and got licensed, and then at that time you had to wait 3 years in order to get a broker's license. So when the 3 years was up, then I got a broker's license, started my own brokerage company as well. So that was 1981, and that was the year that I incorporated Hurd Real Estate, and so it's been going ever since.
Well, getting into that space, so it sounds like your dad was a mentor of yours.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he was. Parents are incredibly perceptive of what their kids' abilities are. I can't tell you how many times that, my parents had shown me things that I didn't think that I could do, or suggested I do things I didn't think I could do. So I think all of us see that in our kids, and a lot of times our kids are reluctant to take the plunge.
So after your father, I think you also worked with some big real estate people in the state of Iowa that also probably was a little bit of a mentorship too, I would guess.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, I started Hurd Real Estate in 81 and ran it independently until 86, and then went to work for Iowa Realty, and Doug Siedenberg and Bill Knapp were the people that I worked with at that time. And that was a great experience. I learned an awful lot working there. At that time, Iowa Realty Commercial was the largest commercial brokerage firm in the city, and Bill Knapp was really involved in just about anything of significance in town, commercially speaking and residentially. I mean, he was just in the middle of all real estate transactions or activities back in those days. Yeah,
and to this day, Bill Knapp is, I think, a little bit. He's 97 years old, so he's done quite well.
Yeah.
Now, but you kind of worked in, as you've grown from the flipping houses, selling properties, you worked into a niche. I would say you kind of working with strip malls and different companies, and when you're building that, it gets back to, I know we've talked about 3 things that are important to you, and talk about determination, integrity, stick to it, and complete it was really a big thing. And tell us a little bit about the niche that you went into.
Well, I mean, we've done a lot of different things over the years. I mean, from starting with repo houses and duplexes and apartments and small office buildings, and then building houses for a number of years back in the late 70s and early 80s. I mean, it just evolves. And I think what happens is, if you find something that you're truly interested in, every day it's not really like going to work. Every day is an adventure. You find something new and different. And for me, real estate was that. I mean, I learned that I liked residential, but then I was interested in commercial, and I thought, well, I'm going to take a look at that and give it a try and see what I can learn there. Found that I really like that. And there's so many different niches in any level of business that you can kind of zero in on the things that you like, and makes the job interesting for you. So for me, it became about working with companies and understanding what is important to them, and how can I help them as well as build our business. And that was probably the turning point for our company, was when I figured out how I could do things that helped our customers as much as it helped us. And that's really the key. If you can provide a service that makes your customer's life better and continue to build your business as well, then you're on your way.
Yeah. I think that's fantastic. I think you just said something that I want our achiever to make sure that they hear. It's you help your customers build their life better, and then it's good for you too.
Right.
And that's a powerful thing that I think everybody needs to recognize. Is if you can't do that, it's going to be a challenge for you. So you've got to be helping your customers so their life is better.
Absolutely. And I know, a big thing for you, Richard, and Hurd Real Estate Company, one thing, but it's you work with family, and I know goals are a big thing. And you have a process, I know, of your top 3 things, and you always talk about goals. Could you elaborate a little bit about that, how you handle the goals, and how in order of what you feel is most important to number 3, 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah, I mean, anybody that knows me knows I'm big on goal setting, and every year it's a process of taking a look at what we accomplished last year and what would I like to achieve the coming year. And I send an email out to everybody in the company and encourage them to do the same. But I mean, it's not all business. You have to focus on things that help you with your life first and foremost. Then the business part comes after. I mean, you have to, focus on faith and family and set your goals around what you can do for your family, help your family move forward. Your faith, whatever that is, you need to keep that in focus. And then business and a career will work if you can keep the other ones in focus and set realistic goals for your business and your career. And I think one of the things is perseverance is just key. I mean, you just have to persevere, whatever it is you're trying to achieve, whether it's development, brokerage, home building, whatever your goal is in real estate or any business, just persevere. Do whatever you can within the limits of your ability and legally and ethically to achieve your goals. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's hard to accomplish.
I absolutely agree. Number one, I love the fact you talked about faith, family, and business. I think with today's world, it's a different world. And I think a lot of people out there got to realize you got to value your faith and your family, because that comes first. And to keep good employees, you have to do that. You have to focus on that, because good employees attract good employees, and a good business owner keeps good business people, keeps the employees, and that's how you scale. And you had said that, stick to it. And I don't care where you're at in your business, if you're at 25,000 or 2 billion, you're only, as you elevate and go through the next ceiling, you're going to have more problems. And the bigger your business is going, you're going to have even bigger problems. And what I find is people hit that ceiling and either get comfortable or don't want to stick to it to go to that next level, because there's different break points at 3 million, 8 million, 15 million, 25 million, 50 million. Every place has a break point. And I find that stick to it is really important. And you've been in business for over 50 years, so you've seen that. And how many people do you really run into, Richard, that really has that stick to and finish the job and go to that next ceiling? I mean, you've seen that in your life.
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of really fine business people out there, and people who have accomplished a lot and a lot more than I have or ever will. But it's, everyone has their own level of understanding of what it is they want to do. I mean, we set our own goals. We determine what it is that we're comfortable with. And, if you're comfortable with $1 million business, great. $100,000 business, 10 million, whatever the number it is that you're comfortable with. But as you progress, the challenges and the issues are basically the same. The numbers just get bigger. Mm-hmm. But, the issues you run into when you're a small business are pretty much the same issues. When you get bigger, the only difference is you've got more people involved and there's just more steps, but the fundamental issues are pretty much the same all the way along.
I'd love to hear you tell us more about when you scaled. You decided to go outside of Iowa and you decided to go to other markets. What made you decide to go into other markets, and what was your challenge? What did you have to do differently to break through that to get into new markets?
You made a comment, Richard, earlier about a piece of the pie, and Monty's asking you now. You wanted a piece of the pie. I love that analogy and how you you said, I may not get it all, but I want to get more. So you changed your market.
Well, I mean, yeah, I realized back in the 80s that the market in Des Moines, we have a fairly small niche in the real estate world. We're not all things to all people, and we don't try to be, and we only do what we do. So the market is only so big here, and it's a great place to live. I'm from here. I raised my family here, but the commercial market is only so large, and so I realized back in the late 80s there somewhere that in order for me to grow with the niche of the market that we're after, we needed to get into other markets, because we were only going to get our share of the business here, and the business here was only so big. So in order for us to grow, we needed to grow to expand our geographic reach. And so I thought Omaha would be a logical step, but I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, let's go to a market that's bigger. So I went to Kansas City, and so we went down there, and that worked. I got lucky. I mean, again, luck plays into it. You have to apply yourself, and you have to work hard. But anybody that has any level of success that says they never had any luck, I would challenge that. I mean, luck does play into it. And I went to Kansas City, and it worked out. And then I went to St. Louis, and it worked out. And then I went to Phoenix and realized I could go a long ways away from home and still do what we do. And then we made inroads with some bigger companies, and they needed people to do what we do, which is basically build and or acquire their operating facilities. And that worked out well for us. So timing's a big deal. Mm-hmm. And you can call it timing or luck or whatever label you want to put on it. But bottom line is, in life, timing matters. It really does.
What did you have to do differently to get into those new markets? I mean, you had to think differently. You had to go after new customers. What did you do different?
We just had to, get in front of more people. I've always attended a lot of industry events. So if you go to industry events where there's companies from the big companies are there, and they have representatives, and you go and try to get, create some relationships. But bottom line is that do the same. If you're doing a good business in Des Moines, use those same basic principles and apply them to another market. And you may have to find different customers, but if you can apply the same business components that you've been using, if you've been successful in Des Moines, most likely it's going to work in Kansas City and St. Louis, because they're Midwestern cities. Now, when you get to the Southwest, it gets a little more dicey, because you've got a lot of competition. You've got a lot of West Coast, East Coast, Canadian money chasing those deals. So that was a little bit different. But if you stick in the Midwest, the principles pretty much remain the same.
I really like what he just said, and that's how you scale. You scale when you use the same principles and you duplicate them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a huge thing that our achievers need to think about, is how can you use your same principles that you're doing in one market to add to another market? And that's how you scale.
Yes, the duplication. And so you set your goals, and you've scaled at a very high level. But a lot of your scaling is you said your pie's so big, and basically in the Des Moines market, and then you went to another market and duplicated it, and just like you said, Monty, duplicated, went to the next market, realizing that you can do that, and that's probably helped you scale the fastest, right? Having that same scale going to each and every city. And you just got back from Scottsdale, one of the big golf tournaments down there. And I think that's another thing that's important. A lot of people got to realize you went to Scottsdale, and a lot of your clients were there at the event. Mm-hmm. And the name of the golf tournament is the Waste Management Golf Tournament?
Correct.
Okay. And it was an opportunity for you, and I think this is really important too, is when you're building relationships, is it's good to see those clients and those people that you work with. And tell us a little bit about your process when you go to an event like that and you meet those people. How do you have a set schedule, or you got a plan when you go into that? How do you approach that?
Well, these events are really, for me, they're a combination of, business and pleasure. But bottom line is, I'm meeting with multiple banks there, and a lot of times they're banks that we work with, but the president is in another city, and I see him once a year, maybe at that event, and maybe it'll be at a spring training game next month on an event. But it's good to be in touch with the people who you're working with, so that you continue to foster that relationship. And it's banks, it's real estate investment trusts who we buy properties from time to time. It's brokerage firms who bring us transactions. It's just getting in front of people and continuing to work those relationships so that you stay fresh in the mind of the people that you want to work with. Because I'll guarantee you, if you don't, your competitors they're going to be talking to them. Mm-hmm. And so when they think, well, gee, we need somebody to perform this particular service or buy this property, they might think of somebody else. So you want to continue to foster the relationship.
Now, as you built your company, one thing that's you got a lot of family dynamics. You've got 2 sons and a daughter that's working with you, and that must be a lot of fun at times, and at times can be challenging, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But I think it's kind of good. You're laying out your legacy too in the future. I think you've got your kids involved, and how involved are your 3 kids?
Well, they're all 3 of them. They're all very involved and have been working there for years. And I'm frankly surprised, because when I started, I never had any goal of having a company that my kids would work at. But I think, for better or worse, I probably indoctrinated them because when they were young, because that's what I was doing. Every time we go on a soccer tournament trip to a city, we'd be driving by real estate. Or every time we'd go to a cheerleading camp, we'd be driving by real estate. So I think I beat it into their brain that this is what we do. And so at any rate, they ended up joining the business, and it's fun, it's challenging from time to time, but by and large, it's a blessing to have all of them there.
You bet. You've been involved in a lot of different projects, different cities, different sizes. Tell us about one of your projects that you're most proud of, that you really enjoyed, that it was a good challenge, but it was rewarding in the end.
Are you talking economically rewarding or just, community rewarding?
Either one.
Well, I'd say, the Jamie Hurd Amphitheater was a project that we did that I'm probably most proud of. Wasn't obviously economically motivated, but it's a community project that we did. And it's a feature for West Des Moines that they can use for decades. And, I love that particular project. As far as physical projects, we've done so many rehabs and new construction. I'm not really sure where to begin with that. We rehabbed the old Dow Jones building in Westtown Parkway and 42nd for Shive Hattery. It turned out great. We built, shopping centers out by the mall, which are good performers for us and provide a good service for the community. Fleet Farm in Waukee. I mean, we just built a lot of things. I've been in business a long time, so it's kind of hard to pick one out of the group. I mean, but it's what keeps me, motivated and going to work every day.
Yeah, this is a great example of building not only for yourself, but building a relationship with communities and making communities better. Because your amphitheater was a huge community. It's become a part of the community, and it's a beautiful place to go. Do you mind giving us a little bit of background on that and how you did it?
Well, it was the city was looking for a sponsor. Basically, it was on their ground, obviously. Yeah. So it was, and it's in their. It's managed by their park system, and they were looking for a sponsor to help build it. So that's when we got involved. But I really enjoyed the process. I think the city was good to work with. The Parks Department people were very, just very professional. We got it done on time. It really turned out nice, and so I'm very proud of it, quite frankly.
Yeah, and that's something I've always I think is big is when you talking about some are profitable, some aren't profitable, and I think giving back to the community is big, and I think we find out with strong the best communities are the communities that people do give back to. I think it's just as important. If you're profiting, you can also give back, and you've done a lot of that in our community here in Central Iowa, and I appreciate that. But something that you have said in the past is you've really got to love what you do, and something you've come to really love real estate. Talking about when you're out of town with your kids, you drive by a piece of real estate, and I find I do the same thing. So I went through the same process, so I can connect with you, and I think that's really important is kind of finding your passion of what you want to do, and go do it. That's a big thing. And I know something that we always talk about is how do you see your legacy? How would you like to see your legacy?
Oh,
that's a big question.
That's an interesting question. I don't know from what perspective. I'm not really sure, but I think from my family's perspective, I think they as long as they thought that I did a good job as a husband, father, and businessman, that would be enough for me. From the community, the community won't remember me very long after I'm gone, but that's fine. I mean, we're doing the best we can to build projects that enhance the community. We don't build anything that we don't think is a benefit to the general health of the communities we're in. So that's a big part of our concept. There's certain types of things we just won't build, even if we have tenants for them. And it's just because we want really more family-oriented community enhancement projects. That's our goal. So for me, that would be enough if people said, that company only built things that benefited the general community and family-oriented businesses. I'd be fine with that.
Well, that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thinking about our achiever and all the things that you've heard today, I think it's important to recognize a couple things. And I love what you said about goal setting. I love what you said about perseverance and determination. And what's a current challenge that you're faced with now that you have to break through new ways of thinking and new challenges to get to that other side?
Oh, this last year has been a big sea change because we've got an environment where construction costs and interest rates have increased dramatically, and it's really difficult to make a profit on what we do right now, which has not been the case until about a year ago. So it's difficult to find a route through that where you can actually develop and make money on the things that we do. Some of the other niches are still work, I think. Single family residential, multifamily residential seems to still be working. Some of the industrial things are working, but retail, office, medical, really tough to make the numbers work right now. So we're struggling with that. We're hoping that we get a little relief from the Federal Reserve. They start lowering interest rates this year so we can maybe get the pendulum to swing back in the middle. But it's a challenge to make projects economically viable right now. So that's the biggest thing business-wise that we're faced with.
Yeah. So in closing here, do you, and right now, and we were meant to touch on this earlier, is what do you look for in hiring and joining your team? If somebody wanted to join your team, what type of person would it take to join your team? What's that general DNA you're looking for?
Well, they have to be honest. They've got to have a strong interest in what we do. They've got to be dependable, and quite frankly, just have a love of real estate and a love of working for a family business. It's different than working for a big corporation. You have to be used to basically filling a number of different roles when you work for a small company versus working for a big company. And so we're looking for people who have that type of work ethic, and just enjoy that environment. And a lot of times, it's easier for us to teach people things if they have the right attitude and the right work ethic, and if they're honest and dependable than it is if they get a lot of real estate knowledge and they lack the others. So that's what matters to us.
I love that. You focus on the integrity of a person. You can teach them what you want them to do. You can teach them what you want them to know. Right. And that's the power of finding the right person.
It is. And I think having that attitude you were talking about, Richard, do they have that right chemistry, the right attitude, and ultimately do they have the integrity and honesty to do the right type of business to help you grow your business?
Absolutely.
But you're located in West Des Moines, and someone want to get a hold of you, whether do a project or join your team, you just go to West Des Moines, Iowa, and you probably have a website and contact.
HurdRealty.com.
HurdRealty.com. Well, fantastic. Monte, this has been a great show today, and I enjoy it. People out there, give us thumbs up, give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you.
Yep. Thanks for joining us, The Achiever, and keep up the learning and growing. And Richard, really appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much.